Every sunrise is a victory. Every sunrise looks effortless. The sky brightens, the world wakes up, and the sun climbs like it's done a million times before. But to the ancient Egyptians, that daily moment wasn't routine at all. It was proof of victory. Proof that the sun god Ra had survived another night in the underworld. Another night where darkness tried to swallow the world whole, and chaos tried to unmake reality itself. Because in Egyptian myth, the sun doesn't simply set, it travels, it fights. And every morning, it returns like a king marching back into his kingdom, bringing light, order, and life with him. Today, we're stepping into the blazing heart of Egyptian mythology to meet Ra, the solar king, the creator, and the god who kept the universe running, one sunrise at a time. Ra, the sun, and Ma'at. To understand Ra, you have to understand what the sun meant in Egypt. This wasn't a place of gentle seasons and predictable weather. The Nile gave life, but only if the world stayed balanced. If the flood came, if the crops grew, if the seasons returned when they were supposed to. So the sun wasn't just a lamp in the sky, it was the engine of survival. Ra became the living symbol of that engine, warmth, growth, time, and the rhythm of life itself. He was not merely a god who lived somewhere above the clouds. In many Egyptian traditions, Ra is the sun's divine identity, its will, its power, its royal presence. That's why he's often depicted with the head of a hawk, crowned by the solar disk, sometimes encircled by a cobra. The hawk is the sky's hunter, the one who sees everything. The solar disk is the crown of heaven, and the cobra, called the uraeus, is protection and authority, a warning that the sun's king can burn anyone who threatens order. Ra is majestic, but he is also busy. Because his job isn't just to shine, his job is to hold the world together. The ancient Egyptians had a word for that idea, Ma'at. Ma'at is cosmic order, truth, balance, rightness, the way things should be. Not just morality, but stability itself. The correct flow of time, the correct rise of the sun, the correct rhythm of the Nile, the correct harmony between gods, humans, and the natural world. And Ra is one of Ma'at's greatest guardians. If Ra fails, the world doesn't just get darker, it breaks. The first light and the waters of none. Now, if you've ever tried to read Egyptian mythology like it's one big single story, you might have noticed something strange. There isn't just one creation myth. There are several, shaped by different cities, priesthoods, and local traditions. That's not a bug. It's the whole worldview. Egypt wasn't trying to write one official canon the way modern franchises do. Different regions emphasized different sacred centers, but in many of the most influential traditions, especially those tied to Heliopolis, Ra stands near the core of creation itself. Imagine the beginning not as a clean, empty space, but as an endless, dark ocean. The Egyptians called this primeval watery abyss none. No sun, no land, no time. No direction, just potential, unformed and waiting. And then, something happens, a first emergence. In some versions, a mound rises from the waters, like the first island pushing up through the flood. This mirrors what people in Egypt saw every year when the Nile receded and land reappeared, ready for planting. Creation isn't a one-time miracle, it's a pattern. From that first emergence, the creator god appears, often Atum, sometimes closely linked to Ra, sometimes described as Ra-Atum, because in Egypt, divine identities could blend like sunlight through different windows. The creator speaks, or wills, or breathes, light begins. The first gods take shape. And with them comes structure and meaning, sky and earth, air and moisture, time and cycles. The important point is this. Creation in Egyptian myth isn't just making objects. Creation is establishing order. It's turning the formless into the formed, the chaotic into the structured. And the sun, Ra's light, is the most visible sign of that structure. Every day when the sun rises, it's like creation happens again. The world returns from darkness into form. The cycle renews. Ma'at wins another round. That's why Ra isn't simply a sun god. He's the sun, as proof that the cosmos still has a spine. The solar barque. But Ra's story doesn't stop at creation. It continues every single day. Because in Egyptian imagination, the sun moves not like a lamp turning on and off, but like a royal traveler moving through realms. This is where one of the most iconic images of Egyptian religion appears, the solar barque, the boat of Ra. By day, Ra sails across the sky. Sometimes that journey is pictured as a heavenly river. Because again, Egypt understood the universe through the language of the Nile. The river is the path of life, and the sun follows a path too. At noon, Ra is at his strongest, blazing overhead like an unstoppable king. But then evening comes, and something more mysterious happens. The sun sets. And to us, that's just the horizon swallowing light. To the ancient Egyptians, it was a transition between worlds. Ra does not vanish. He enters the Duat, the underworld, the hidden realm beneath the earth and behind the veil of night. And here's where the myth shifts from beautiful to terrifying. Because night is not rest. Night is war. The night war in the Duat. If the day is Ra's royal procession across the heavens, the night is his most dangerous campaign. The Duat is full of gates, obstacles, strange beings, and spirits. It's a realm where the dead travel, where transformation happens, where things are hidden and revealed. But the most important detail is this. The Duat is where chaos tries to strike. In Egyptian myth, chaos is not just bad behavior. Chaos is the force that wants to erase everything, to undo creation, to dissolve the world back into the primeval waters. And that force has a face, one of the most famous monsters in all Egyptian mythology. Apep, also known as Apophis. Apep is a gigantic serpent of chaos, an enemy of light, an ambush waiting in the dark, and every night as Ra sails through the underworld, Apep attacks. This isn't an occasional villain. This is an every night problem. The Egyptians imagined that Apep tries to stop the solar boat by coiling around it, biting it, hypnotizing it, swallowing its path, choking the river of the underworld so the sun cannot move forward. If Apep succeeds, dawn doesn't come. And if dawn doesn't come, Ma'at collapses, not slowly, catastrophically. So Ra must fight. Sometimes it's depicted as Ra's crew spearing the serpent, cutting it, burning it, forcing it back. Sometimes Ra is protected by other deities and divine forces riding alongside him in the boat. One defender who often appears here is Set, yes, the same Set, who is famous for chaos and conflict in other stories. Egyptian mythology is not afraid of paradox. Set can represent destructive storm violence, but he can also be the necessary force that stands against an even greater threat, the total unmaking of the cosmos. It's a reminder that myths don't run on simple good guys and bad guys, they run on function, on role, on balance. And in the underworld, the role is clear. Apep must be resisted, or existence fails. So every night is a cosmic struggle. The sun is not guaranteed. The world is not automatic. It must be defended. And every morning, every single morning, Ra wins. That's what sunrise means in this mythic logic. Not routine, but triumph. Why chaos returns every night? Apep is not evil in the way later religions talk about demons. He is not a rival king with a tragic backstory. He is a symbol of cosmic unmaking, pure disruption, the force of collapse. In modern storytelling, we often want villains to have motives, goals, personalities. Apep is older than that style of myth. Apep is what happens when the universe stops being held together. It's the nightmare that the world could simply unravel. And that's why the fight happens every night. Because chaos is not defeated forever. It is only pushed back again and again by effort, by ritual, by divine power, and by the continued commitment to Ma'at. Which leads to something even more fascinating. The Egyptians didn't think this cosmic war was happening somewhere far away where humans had no influence. They believed humans could participate. That temples mattered, hymns mattered, rituals mattered. Because if Ra is fighting Apep in the underworld, then every prayer offered on earth is like reinforcements sent into the darkness. How humans help the sun return. In Egyptian religion, rituals weren't just about saying thank you, they were about maintenance. Priests in temples performed daily rites, offerings, incense, hymns, recitations. There were also texts and spells designed specifically to repel Apep, words meant to weaken the serpent, bind it, burn it, or drive it away. To a modern mind, that can sound symbolic, like theater. To an ancient Egyptian mind, it was practical. If the cosmos is a system that must be held in order, then human beings don't just watch the sunrise, they help ensure it happens. It's a relationship. The gods sustain the world, and humans sustain the gods through reverence and ritual, not because gods need food like humans do, but because the act of order, of correct practice, strengthens Ma'at. In that sense, religion becomes cosmic teamwork. So picture it. While Ra's boat cuts through the darkness, while the serpent of chaos coils in the shadows, there are priests on earth lighting incense and speaking hymns, and there are ordinary people greeting dawn with awe. And all of that, together, becomes a shield against the unmaking of reality. Suddenly, sunrise is not just a natural event. It's a community achievement across worlds. Khepri, Ra, and Atum. Now, Ra isn't a static character. One of the most Egyptian things about him is that he changes form, because the sun changes form. To us, the sun is one object, but its behavior across the day feels like a life story. It is born at dawn, it matures at noon, it grows old at sunset, and it disappears into the night, only to be reborn again. The Egyptians expressed that cycle through different aspects of the solar deity. In the morning, the sun is often linked to Khepri. Khepri is associated with the scarab beetle, and his name is connected to the idea of coming into existence. At midday, the sun is Ra in full strength, the radiant king at the height of power. And in the evening, the sun can be linked to Atum, the completion, an elder aspect that gathers things back toward the source, closing the day like a book. This isn't three separate gods in a strict sense, it's one solar force seen through phases, like different chapters of the same story. So why would a beetle become sacred? The scarab of rebirth. Because Egyptians watched scarab beetles roll balls of dung across the ground, pushing them steadily, persistently, as if moving a tiny sun. To them, it looked like a living metaphor, the sun being rolled across the sky, the day being pushed forward into existence. So Khepri isn't just a quirky insect symbol. He's the morning's miracle made visible, the world becoming again, the sun rising again, life restarting again. And that's exactly what Ra represents in the cycle, the unstoppable return of light. Ra and the Pharaoh. Now let's step back and ask, if Ra is so cosmic, why does he also feel so political? Because in Egypt, politics and cosmos were never fully separated. The Pharaoh wasn't just a king. In the ideal vision, the Pharaoh was the human anchor of Ma'at, the ruler who kept society aligned with cosmic order. That's why you'll often hear titles like Son of Ra. The Pharaoh is tied to the sun god not only by devotion, but by legitimacy. If Ra is the king of the gods, then the Pharaoh is the king of humans by divine reflection. In art and inscriptions, you see this constantly. The Pharaoh making offerings to Ra, receiving life from Ra, standing beneath the solar disk, presented as the rightful ruler under heaven. This isn't only propaganda, though it certainly functions like propaganda. It's also theology. If the world survives because order survives, then the state must embody order, law, justice, stability, successful harvests. These aren't just good governance, they're cosmic alignment. So when Ra shines, it's as if he is blessing not only the fields but the throne. And when the Pharaoh performs the correct rituals, it's as if the human world is cooperating with the divine world to keep the universe from sliding into chaos. In that way, Ra becomes the sun and the crown, light and authority. The most powerful symbol of rulership imaginable, a force no one can argue with, that rises every day. Amun-Ra and the sun's legacy. And like all great gods, Ra evolves over time. Egyptian religion spans thousands of years, longer than the entire timeline of many other mythologies. So it's natural that gods merged, shifted, rose in prominence, and took on new titles. One of the most famous examples is Amun-Ra. Amun was a major deity associated with Thebes, and as Thebes became politically powerful, Amun's status grew. Over time, Amun's identity merged with Ra's solar kingship, forming Amun-Ra, an even more towering divine presence. This tells you something important. Ra isn't just a mythic character. Ra is a gravitational center, a solar concept so powerful that other gods can join with it, like rivers joining the sea. Even when different cults and cities emphasize different deities, the sun remains the universal language. Everyone understands what it means to need light, to depend on sunrise, to fear what happens if it doesn't come. That's why Ra's imagery, hawk head, sun disk, royal cobra, blazing aura, endures as one of the most recognizable symbols of ancient Egypt. Because it speaks without translation. It says, life continues. Order holds. The world is still here. One more sunrise. So what does Ra ultimately represent? He represents the miracle we stop noticing. He represents a world that could be fragile but keeps going anyway. He represents the idea that order is not passive. It is maintained by gods, by rituals, by balance, by the continual defeat of chaos. And if you take that mythic lens seriously, then sunrise becomes a story with stakes. When the horizon brightens, it's not just the day beginning. It's Ra returning from the underworld, steering his solar boat out of darkness, proving, again, that Apep didn't win, that the universe didn't unravel, that creation still stands. So the next time you see the morning light creep across the sky, imagine what the ancient Egyptians imagined. A golden boat cutting through shadow, a serpent of chaos striking from the deep, a god-king fighting not for glory but for reality itself. And then, victory. Because the sun rises, and the world continues. If you enjoyed this journey into Egyptian mythology, like the video, subscribe for more gods and legends, and tell me in the comments, which Egyptian deity should we explore next? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next tale.